came from the UK. I can't and won't be stopped.
Come on, there you go. Get out there. Get out there. It's got it. Something to say. It's got it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Wrestle
safe.
Oh my God!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another explosive night. ECW is in round.
Cut off with one of the big guys. And to prove yourself, you want to knock him out.
Good evening, students, and welcome back after your long hiatus to Professor Burr's Wrestling History class. I know you missed some of the great stories in history, so let's dive right back into it. And with that being said, we're going to talk about one of the most popular wrestling organizations in North America and arguably could be around the world. I'm talking about Extreme Championship Wrestling, or ECW. But first, before we dive in, as always, let me give a quick shout out to two of our sponsors, Chops Wrestling Cards and Slam Network. And as always, I would be remiss without mentioning my co-host and partners on the Wrestling Society podcast. Thank you guys. Miss you guys, and we're going to take over. So, with all that being said, do you have your papers, pens, or pencils ready? Or for you new school aficionados, do you have your phone, iPhones, iPads ready? And let's get ready to dive into this lesson. ECW, or Extreme Championship Wrestling, was founded in 1992 by Todd Gordon and wrestling promoter Paul Heyman, who took over the creative end of the promotion from Eddie Gilbert in September of 93 and rechristened the promotion from Eastern Championship Wrestling. ECW has its origins in 1990 under the banner of Tri-State Wrestling Alliance, owned by Joe Goodhart. In 1992, Goodhart sold his share of the company to his partner, Todd Gordon, who renamed the promotion Eastern Championship Wrestling. In 1990, Jim Crockett's non-compete agreement with Ted Turner, who purchased WCW from Turner in November of 1988, was up. And he decided he wanted to start promoting with the NWA again. Crockett went to Todd Gordon and asked him to hold the tournament for the NWA's top prize, the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, in ECW's home area of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, in August 27th, 1994. The NWA president, Dennis Corleone, alleged that Crockett and Gordon were to try were trying to monopolize the title and stated that he did not have the NWA's board approval, which in result in Corleone personal overseeing the tournament. Gordon took offense at Corleone for his power play and began contemplating a plan to succeed the ECW from the NWA through a controversial and public manner that would attract attention to ECW and insult the NWA organization. Gordon and Heyman planned to have Shane Douglas, who was scheduled to face two Cold Scorpio in the tournament finals on August 30th, 1994, throw down the NWA World Championship belt upon winning as an act of defiance. Heyman persuaded Douglas by noting that the negativity would only be on the NWA traditionalists and the knowledge between the animosity between Douglas and Corleone, who publicly criticized Douglas for no showing events and calling him a bad risk. After looking up and saying, "This is tonight's dad," Douglas threw down the NWA World Heavyweight Championship belt, stating that he did not want to be a champion for a dead promotion that had died 7 years ago, and raised the Eastern Championship Wrestling title and declared it to be a World Heavyweight Championship, calling it the only real world title left in professional wrestling. Corleone was interviewed after the event and declared that Douglas would be the world champion of the NWA, whether he liked it or not, calling Douglas' act a disgrace and said that he would move to have him stripped of both titles. Gordon made the following announcement on the next edition of NWA ECW programming. "I've listened to the great interest as a representative of the board of the NWA Board of Directors took it upon himself to inform you that they had the power to force NWA ECW not to recognize the franchise Shane Douglas as its world champion. Well, as of noon today, I have folded NWA Eastern Championship Wrestling, and this place will be the Extreme Championship Wrestling, and we recognize the franchise Shane Douglas as our world heavyweight champions." In 1995, Todd Gordon sold his share of ECW to Paul Heyman. Here are a list of some of the world champions of Extreme Championship Wrestling: Shane Douglas, The Sandman, Raven, Terry Funk, Sabu, Bam Bam Bigelow, Taz, Mike Awesome, Jerry Lynn, and Tommy Dreamer. Well, I hope that you have learned more about ECW and learned the controversial history and birth of Extreme Championship Wrestling. The history of Extreme Championship Wrestling is definitely noted and plays a part in many of our hearts. They are known for putting themselves in positions to innovate and put more emphasis on the extreme side of wrestling. With not only that, also living with traditional wrestling. I truly hope that you enjoyed this episode and learned some new things about ECW that you didn't know. And as always, thank you for joining us. And don't forget, if you love wrestling like your professor does, learn history about it, not just WWE, not just AEW, but all different types of wrestling. Do your research, do your homework. And again, I am your professor, and thank you for joining us.